You know what nobody ever really talks about? DC versus Marvel. I mean, people talk about it. We would all love to see DC be brought into the MCU in some form. It would sell a shitload of tickets and would be the perfect way to cap off this nearly 2-decade-long multiverse/shared universe trend in superhero films. It doesn't even have to be that grandiose, though. Maybe you're just talking with your friends and you ask who would win, Batman or Spider-Man, Superman or Hulk. But here's the thing, I'm not speaking hypothetically. I'm saying this actually happened. DC fought Marvel in a 4-part crossover in the mid-90s. 2 comics were published by DC and 2 others by Marvel. It's the kind of off-the-wall, larger-than-life event you would expect from the 1990s when the comic book medium was just trying to remain relevant and stay alive. Despite a boom period a few years earlier, we have not seen the likes of since. But even weirder than the crossover forgotten by time was their love child, their hellspawn. Not you. I'm talking about the bastardized universe that resulted in this meeting of the worlds. I'm talking about the Amalgam universe. So I'm speaking here to Dragon Ball Z fans. Imagine if your favorite characters from Marvel and DC performed the fusion dance or got a hold of the Potara earrings.
Fusion! Ha!
Superman and Captain America? How about Super Soldier? What about Storm and Wonder Woman, 2 characters whose popularity has grown considerably since this series was released? Meet Amazon. And last and certainly least, Scarecrow, a combination of DC's Scarecrow and Marvel's lesser-known Scarecrow. Look, they can't all be winners, but you get the point. There is one character, though, one universe that stands out for me. I think that's pretty obvious given the context of my channel, but now with the 3rd Deadpool movie upon us and Wolverine's introduction into the MCU, I feel there is no better time than to discuss the Amalgam Universe's golden boy, Darkclaw. Everything you need to know about Darkclaw, the base of who the character is, his origin, his allies, his enemies, and the world he inhabits can be found in Darkclaw number 1. It's ridiculous. The dialogue at times feels like it belongs in the 1950s more than the angsty 1990s. Darkclaw asks about, and I quote, a villain's nefarious scheme. That sounds like something Dr. Evil would say sarcastically.
The details of my life are quite inconsequential.
To be blunt, this comic was never going to win any writing awards, but it does have some interesting elements at play, specifically their attempt at world building. My initial introduction to the character was in the DC vs. Marvel crossover series. Now, his time in the comic was brief, but memorable. There were a handful of pages highlighting Darkclaw and Super Soldier chasing after Hyena, the amalgam of Joker and Sabretooth, who we will discuss in a bit. The artwork, by Claudio Castanelli, is my favorite not only of the Amalgam universe, but over the entire DC vs. Marvel run, in large part thanks to his dynamic posing and emphasis on action and perspective. Conversely, Darkclaw number 1 doesn't try to keep this same action-oriented pace. It's far less tense, and this is in large part to them having to establish this new reality for the characters to inhabit. You have to understand, the Amalgam universe isn't a fusion solely of characters, but also of their realities. Gotham City is New Gotham City, a combination of New York, the primary location for most of Marvel's heroes, and Gotham City. The lives of Wolverine and Batman are no different in this particular context. Their realities are mixed together in this mashup of sorts, with Bruce and Logan now going by the name Logan Wayne, who as a young boy watched his parents murdered at the age of 5. He plays up the playboy characteristics of Bruce Wayne, with the world at large believing him to be an irresponsible oaf who lives off his vast generational wealth.
Pardon me, where are my manners? I neglected to introduce my friend. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what her name is.
An interesting tidbit worth mentioning is that Logan Wayne is also a world-famous artist, whose paintings bring an additional income to his already vast fortune. And as odd as that sounds, it gets odder. Logan Wayne leaves 3 slashes in his artwork, or as Huntress so eloquently puts it, his paintings possess the fury of feral slashes. Okay. I couldn't find anything in my research about Logan or Bruce being painters, but if you do, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious if this was just the writers taking creative liberties, or it was based off some unknown history I was unaware of. As you might expect, Darkclaw's origin is a 50-50 mix of Logan and Bruce's. He is part of the Weapon X program, which bonded adamantium to his skeleton and unlocked his mutant abilities in a similar way to what happened to Deadpool.
Oh, hello.
In addition to the procedure he endured to give him his powers, Logan Wayne, like Bruce, traveled the world learning over 100 different forms of hand-to-hand combat. Now imagine Batman's fighting prowess combined with Logan's enhancements. His sense of smell, for example.
I smell something sinister.
This is an extremely formidable foe in either universe. The problem, though, is the character doesn't really get to live up to his potential because of writing like this. I can't imagine Kevin Conroy or Cal Dodd, the default voices I hear in my head when I read these characters' comic books, trying to deliver that line. Lackluster writing aside, what I really find interesting is the Weapon X program being the connective tissue between Logan and his arch-nemesis Hyena. When the Weapon X program was done with Hyena, he was left insane, like a certain violent clown we all know. Darkclaw instead opted to use his powers to help people. This opposing view is symbolic of their hatred for one another, and it's at the heart of the amalgam mythology. They have the same disdain for each other that Wolverine and Sabretooth have, but it also mirrors the connective tissue that is Batman and the Joker. Two men who took radically different approaches to life after one bad experience. Now, in terms of supporting characters, Darkclaw has a sidekick named Sparrow, and an ally who is the amalgam version of the Huntress, although her secret identity is Marvel's Carol Danvers. Huntress in this instance is more or less a placeholder to provide us with Darkclaw's origin. She acts almost as a narrator. Comparatively, Sparrow is much more fleshed out. She is an amalgam of Batman's sidekick Robin and Jubilee, who often views Wolverine as a father figure of sorts, especially in the 90s. And unlike Batman and Wolverine, who didn't really interact in the Marvel vs. DC event, Robin and Jubilee squared off before developing a romance that ultimately ended in tragedy when their respective worlds unmerged. She often refers to Darkclaw as Old Man, and gives off Carrie Kelly/Oracle vibes, as she's usually piloting a vehicle from far away, in addition to providing technical support. Sparrow does show an unusual amount of hostility towards Huntress, and I don't really know why. I mean, I understand her reluctance letting someone in the cave who she is weary of, but I don't see how this makes Amalgam Huntress a slut or a bimbo. If you know, tell me in the comments. I'm stumped. At the beginning of the comic, Darkclaw is pursuing Hyena before deducing a clue he leaves in the newspaper after he infiltrates the Gotham Gazette, which feels more like a Riddler thing than a Joker thing, but
Was that over the top? I can never tell.
The comic's final act concludes with Darkclaw realizing the president is Hyena's next target, and he rushes to alert the commander-in-chief, managing to save him just in time. The writing here is pretty spotty as Darkclaw continues to self-reference his own adamantium skeleton, one we already established he has, and he does so with frequent, unnecessary callbacks. Despite being the victim of some questionable writing, I do like Darkclaw. I think overall there's a lot of potential for this character and the Amalgam universe as a whole. It's something people would be interested in exploring further, and with the recent DC vs. Marvel Omnibus announcement, these odd but strangely captivating fusions will get a bit more of the spotlight I feel they deserve. I hope you enjoy the video. Do me a solid, like, subscribe, or comment on Sparrow's bad attitude. Until next time, same bat time,